Right, let's talk about this story then, because it's a bit of an interesting one, where the Spanish prosecutors are seeking a 2.5-year prison sentence for Louis Rubiales, is it, Alex?
Rubiales. I
Rubiales.
think I could be butchering that, but yeah.
Over this kissgate scandal, which viewers might remember, where he's now paying £85,000 in compensation, but they're seeking a prison sentence. Now, what he did was this, where he grabbed this woman whose name is Hermoso. I'm not very good with Spanish names.
Hermoso.
Hermoso. Espanol.
It's one of my hidden talents is Spanish.
Anyway, after a game, after a game, he grabs her and he gives her a good old kiss. With sort of jubilation and excitement, but people were saying that this is blatant misogyny. He would never do that to a man, and they're now seeking for him to absolutely lose everything. He's handed over 85,000 quid in compensation. He's been quizzed. He's given. They've uncovered solid evidence pointing to the potential illegality of the kiss. Now, I don't know what that illegality is, whether or not it's sexual assault. They're saying it wasn't potentially consensual. Looking at it, perhaps it wasn't. But I don't think you should ever go to jail for 2.5 years for kissing someone. Like, I just don't.
I think it is so It is so over the top. It is Me Too culture gone way too far. Now, do I think that this was completely appropriate what he did? No, it was clearly a heat of the moment mistake. Now, bear in mind the cultural differences. Anyone who's been to Spain knows that they're kissing each other on the cheeks, left, right, and centre. Clearly going for on the lips was maybe a bit too far. So I do sympathise with him. This has been blown way out of proportion, even though I think what he did was somewhat wrong. I think my worry is that young men are going to look at this and think, as they do every time they see that someone's had some crazy allegation that's completely overblown, that they better never make a move on a woman in their lives because they're going to end up thrown in prison. I can't remember the exact stats. It was ones Chris Williams brought up on his podcast on the percentage of women who want men to make the first move. It's the vast majority of them. It's like 80% or something like that, versus the percentage of men who are willing to make a first move. And it's tiny because most men think that they're going to be accused of something and seen as creepy if they make the first move.
And it's having a chilling effect, isn't it, on actually fermenting relationships. And perhaps that's got something to do with why we have a rapidly declining fertility and birth rate in this country.
We do. It's shocking. And just to go quickly back onto this story, because I think the birth rate thing is a really interesting topic, by the way. But to go back onto the story, the player in question who has obviously raised these allegations posthumously from after the event, I think some people forget exactly the story, the series of events. Afterwards, she was filmed on a coach with her friends on the way out of winning the cup, literally laughing about it, making jokes about it to everyone on the coach. And so she really couldn't have been taking it that seriously. If it were something that was seen as to be quite serious, I can imagine, if it were me, I'd be going, let's not laugh about this. I'm furious that he's done this to me. Like, that would be absolutely out. That would be the way that most human beings would respond to something, I think, if they felt like it was a huge deal. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. But it just seems really, really rich that they've gone after this poor bloke for literally, being who was a huge supporter of women's football, by the way. And you could have just turned around and gone, look, that wasn't very good. Don't do it again. Bad behaviour. But now to go after him for a 2-year prison sentence.
Yeah,
I mean, this is
absurd.
exactly what you're talking about, Darren. Poor boys. I mean, there's kids who kiss each other on the playground every day. We're going to start sending children to juvie over it. I mean, what kind of message does it send that you can't have a little bit of playfulness or be slightly wrong or just do something wrong and not feel like you're going to be chucked into prison?
But also, though, not to go back to a sort of Christian element, but there is absolutely no forgiveness in society anymore, whether that be Spain, whether that be the United Kingdom. There is no forgiveness, and there is a desire to destroy someone's life with a venom and vitriol that I think has only come about in recent years. And I find it deeply, deeply troubling. Should be allowed to make mistakes. It's part of humanity. It's part of life. Forgiveness and forgiving is part of what was part of a rich Christian tradition, and we've forgotten all of that. And I think that's deeply dangerous, actually. But I want to read out some comments. So Sue's got a nice comment, and she says, "This channel gives me hope. Good to see some younger people with common sense and good English values rather than woke and incapable of critical thinking." Thank you very much, Sue.